Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is a special video just to talk about a company called Imugene from Australia. We're going to start off by briefly looking at the company's website and then looking at its chart and the financials, price chart and the financials. And then we'll talk about a revolutionary approach they have taken for curing cancer. Let's get started. So here we are with the price chart for Imugene, and each of these candles is a 1 minute candle. So I'm going to convert into a 1 year time frame. If you look at the 1 year time frame, you can see that just like all other genomic stocks in NASDAQ, though this stock is listed in Australian exchange, it has still had a fall similar to all the others. And at one point of time, it reached a peak of around 62 Australian cents, I may call it. I think if there's Australian dollars, then they have Australian cents. So that's what it was. And if I took a widget from here and tried to measure the drop from its peak, I would say that it has dropped 73% in value from that point on to now. And if I was to put some trend lines out here, I would be looking at a trend line somewhere down here, which should be a support for this stock. And the support seems to be at 0.155, and right now it's at 0.170. So I think it is as far below as it can be. Unfortunately for this stock, there seems to be a crossover of the MACD into the bearish side, and also the momentum is below average and flat. So both of those things are not something that I like. But it seems that with the latest press release blitz that has come out about their innovative approach to cancer, probably this share is going to take a little bit of a jump. With that said, I would like to look at the financials for this company. And if I was to look at the financials, what I can see here is that it has been showing negative income, which means basically loss, with increasing numbers all the way to 2021, where it has a net income of minus 18.46 million. So that aspect is not good, but it's a startup, and therefore startups always do make losses until they start generating revenue. If we look at the balance sheet for this company, you can see that these blue bars are all total assets and yellow bars are liabilities. You can see the company has very little liabilities and a whole lot of assets. So I'm liking what I see here. This is good. And if you look at the earnings for this company, generally it's not looking that great as such at this point of time. But once the products get approved and the therapies get approved, we are going to have some revenues come in, which is true for most of the genomics shares that we look at in our watch list. So this is not an exception as such. As we can see here, this news article dated January 27, 2022 shows that Imugene Roche entered new clinical trial supply deal for lung cancer treatment. Shares jumped 9%. So this is a bit of good news that they had. And also there seems to be some mysterious income of revenue of 4.1 million against an estimate of 0. So it was a total surprise. That happened around 26th of February 2021. And that seems to have been another positive catalyst for this share. I'll find out more details about that and get back to you at a later date. We haven't seen this share before. It was not in our radar. So most of the things here seem to be news to us. Another article on January 6, 2022 says Imugene scores nearly 5 million tax rebate. Imugene has scored 4.7 million tax rebate related research and development activities conducted during the fiscal year ended June 30, 2021. The immuno-oncology company said on Thursday the refund is part of the Australian government's tax incentive scheme, which supports research and development programs made by local companies via a 43.5% tax rebate for eligible activities. Let's take a quick look at the website for Imugene. And I'm going to just quickly go into the leadership team. And the leadership team consists of Leslie Chong, who's the CEO and Managing Director, and Paul Hopper, Executive Chairman, When we look at the management team, we have Monil Shah as the Chief Business Officer, and the Chief Technology Officer is Dr. Nick Eade. I'm looking for Chief Scientific Officer. I can't find that here. So let's go into Scientific Advisory Board and see that we can find the person there. There is no designation as Chief Scientific Officer. Probably this company is structured differently from what we are used to in the US. Corporate governance. Okay, it's a corporate governance policy. Let us leave that aside. And so these are all the menu items I would like to go through in leisure. First, I'd like to look at the pipeline. So if you look at the pipeline, they have a beautiful animated pipeline. So it shows that they have got vaccinia, the subject matter of today's discussion, in phase 1, entering phase 1 clinical trial. And they also have CheckVac, again, based on the same virus for getting ready for phase 1 clinical trial. Their other candidates include B-cell activating immunotherapies, HER-Vax. So that's already in phase 2 clinical trial. We'll get more detail about this in a subsequent video. The focus of today's video is just to talk about the strategic approach that they have taken in using a virus to beat cancer. So that's our focus for today. So we are going to focus on vaccinia. And that said, let me give you an idea of how this particular vaccine works, a little bit of a brief background. We all know that adenoviruses have been used in the past to deliver CRISPR-Cas9 into locations in body and try to do gene editing. There's a different type of adenovirus that has been used by Imugene in order to come up with their innovative therapy. So just to give you a brief background of this, in the early days, scientists had noticed that cancer patients who got any viral infections were experiencing a reduction in their tumor size. And that made the scientists think that there must be something in the virus that helps to kill the tumors. There was a point of time when an experiment was done injecting cancer patient and infecting them with virus in order to reduce the size of the tumors. The unfortunate aspect was that they had to suffer a lot of side effects of the virus. The virus itself would cause a lot of health problems. Those had to be faced. For example, if it was an influenza virus or a virus for smallpox or something like that, they would suffer the disease that the virus was carrying, as well as they got the benefit of reducing the size of the tumor. And this effort did not progress any further because the scientists wanted to remove the bad effects of the virus and just keep the tumor-destroying effects in place. And the idea was more or less abandoned for a long time until recently when oncolytic viruses came into focus. And Imugene has used one of those oncolytic viruses that I'm going to talk to you about today. Of course, I would put a caveat out here. I'm not a doctor or a biologist or a geneticist. I'm an investor who is looking at understanding our field and keeping track of all the developments that are happening all over the world and bringing it across to you. So please take this video in that spirit. And for greater depth, I'm going to give you a link in the description for a beautiful video by a doctor who has explained this very nicely. So those of you who are very interested in going into the depths of this article and are more scientific minded, you will find that link very easy. So here's the deal, how Imugene's new therapy works. Imugene's new therapy is based on an adenovirus called Onyx-15. Onyx-15 in its original form, if it's introduced into the human body, will go to all the cells in the human body, normal cells in the human body, and the virus has got genes which can knock out the human cell's ability to produce a protein called P53. P53, the tumor suppressant protein. So once Onyx-15 kills the tumor suppressant genes in the human cell, it then starts replicating itself because now the human cell will not have any P53. Now, understanding this whole mechanism, the scientists at Imugene decided to use a different strategy. They took the Onyx-15 virus and removed the gene in it, which is able to knock out the P53 producing genes in the human cell. Having done that, they introduced the Onyx-15 virus into the human cells, and the Onyx virus could not reproduce. So it started frantically looking for cells where there is no p53, so that it can start replicating itself and preserve its lineage, so as to say. And the only cells that it found where there was no p53 was cancer cells and tumor cells, because the absence of p53 enables them to grow out of control. So the virus selectively latched itself to those cancer cells and started killing them because there was no p53 those cells. And this unique strategy makes this particular vaccine, in my personal opinion, a winner. As I mentioned before, I'm not a scientist or a doctor. My knowledge of genetics is very, very limited based on what I read. But it seems to me that if this strategy succeeds, most cancers will be targeted by this virus. Only pitfalls I see are human residual memory of this virus may probably prevent it from being more active on a recurrent basis for the same patient. But I think the scientists at Imugene are much more qualified, and they know how to handle those risks and how to make sure that if a relapse happens in the same patient, the vaccine can be useful again. So with that said, I'd like to bring this video to its conclusion. So the conclusion that I draw is that if Imugene were to succeed, it is potentially going to knock the socks off most of the genomic companies that we see on NASDAQ, which are working on cancer. Because the way I look at it, Imugene's vaccine should tackle all kinds of cancer. So there could be volume, economy of scale kind of benefits in mass manufacture, and also probably dispensing will be much easier because we are not talking about autologous and allogenic. We are just talking about injecting a virus. It's more like a vaccine, in my opinion. So the logistics of manufacturing and delivering and putting it into the human body, all of that should be well within the current standard set of practices for medications. Therefore, it seems to me that this is a very, very strong contender to succeed in the market. What, however, remains to be seen is it going successfully through various stages of the clinical trial and proving its efficacy, and there being no hidden side effects or some other aspect that we are not aware of. But the track seems to be very promising, and that's why I thought I would like to bring it to you guys so that you could see this. And I would like you to let me know if you like this kind of content. If you like this video, please press a like out there. It helps YouTube show our video to more audience, and more audience can discover our channel. And if you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe. I'm bringing you a lot of fresh content on an ongoing basis. We are probably one of the channels which has got at least one video daily, and I'm trying to bring a special video every alternate day, just like this one, where we do a deep dive into some concept or idea or problem or a company. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.